Ogun public school students may miss admission into tertiary institutions. Amosun says Ogun State 195-kilometer light rail will be ready early 2019. Buhari dismisses report of dispute with Tinubu, wants those behind it to stop. MTN made Security Exchange Commission on proposed sale of shares in foreign. President Zuma survives move to force him to step down, and plane carrying Brazil Football Club members crashes, killing 76. I am SIMIAT ABARU, bring you the news and detail shortly. Hope is dimming for thousands of Ogun State public secondary school students seeking admission into higher institution of learning for the 2016-2017 academic session following the refusal of the West African Examination Council to release their results. The examination body has been withholding the results of the candidates from the state public secondary schools who wrote its 2016 May-June West African Senior School Certificate Examination following delay by the state government in paying the examination fees. The Amosun administration has been picking the wide views of candidates from Ogun State public secondary schools. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAM) has announced that deadline for the admission exercise by tertiary educational institutions for the 2016-2017 academic session must end on Wednesday, November 30. Sheyi Padiola, who have been following the development, filed in this report.
My findings revealed that some of the candidates took the advantage of the initial release of the results by the WAEC on its portal. Some of these candidates printed the results and used it to process their admission into some of the higher institutions, but they received the shock of their lives when the institution rejected the result after cross-checking with WAEC. Other candidates from the state public schools who later attempted to download their results from WAEC portal were disappointed as the examination body had removed the results of the candidate from Ogun State public school from its portal.
Findings by Rock City FM indicate that the affected candidates and their parents have been approaching secondary schools in the state in vain to demand for their result. Some of the teachers in the state public secondary schools who spoke with Rock City FM said they have asked the affected students and their parents to inquire from the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology Ministry in Abeokuta. The State Education, Science and Technology, Mrs. Modupe Mujota, and other top officials of the ministry refused to speak on the issue. Meanwhile, the Joint Admission Matriculation Board (JAM) has directed all the federal and state-owned universities to close the admission process for the 2016-2017 academic session on Wednesday. It will, however, extend the deadline for the private universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education by 2 to 3 weeks. JAM spokesman Dr. Fabian Benjamin in a statement says the decision, which was taken at the stakeholders meeting recently in Owerri, still stands. All federal and state universities, he explains, are expected to submit their admission on or before Wednesday. Under the arrangement, Benjamin says successful candidates not admitted by federal and state universities could be considered by polytechnics, colleges of education, and private universities. National Industrial Court sitting in Ibadan has directed the Federal Universities of Agriculture, Abeokuta FUNAP, to temporarily recall the 15 of its staff, mostly members of the SANU, sacked recently for insubordination and stealing of the university's property. Justice Kola Olalere issued the directive while ruling on an ex parte motion filed by the university's branch of SANU on behalf of the sacked 15 staff. The judge dismissed the ex parte motion, seeking the speedy hearing of the motion, but ordered the university to maintain the status quo on the sacked 15 staff until the case is disposed of. The affected staff include Tino Iyinwawi, Olubenga Alayode, Olushola Williams, Babarinde, Olushaye Sunday, Ibrahim Anjorin, Hafiz Adeleke, Bright Obinwoze, Roland Onyekachuku, and Bolanle Adebeshe. Others are Adeyemi Olafimihon, Emmanuel Bankole, Abdusalam Sabur, and Olasukomi Shemoye. Governor Ibikunle Amosun says the project Ogun State Light Rail proposed Ogun State Light Rail project will be operational before April of 2019. Amosun was stated this while unveiling the project at the first international conference in Lagos, assured that it will be flagged off next year. The first phase of the project, according to the governor, is a 57-kilometer rail track from Agbara to Berger and another 54-kilometer track from Ofada to Shagamu. Also, 84-kilometer track will connect Abeokuta Shagamu with Ijebu-Ode in the first phase of the rail project. The governor says the project, when completed, will reduce pressure on roads in the state and facilitate agriculture production. The first phase of mission to rebuild Ogun State Garden City will be ready for commissioning in the first quarter of next year. The first phase has 150 units of 2- and 3-bedroom units. Managing Director of Ogun State Property and Investment Corporation, OPIC, Jide Odusholu, made this known to newsmen after an inspection visit of Governor Ibikule Amosun to the project located at the Sherry on the Lagos state border. He says the housing project has a total of 600 units of 2- and 3-bedroom housing units. President Buhari says there is no dispute between him and the APC national leader Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. The president dismissing report that himself and APC leadership are plotting to destroy Tinubu warns those peddling the rumor to stop sowing the seed of discord between him and Tinubu. On the just concluded Ondo State governorship poll, Buhari explains he maintained a regular contact with Tinubu before, during, and after the polls. Dismissing report that Tinubu worked against APC candidates in the poll, Buhari says Tinubu is a priceless political asset to APC. Tax defaulters will not be able to apply for Nigerian international passport if a proposal by the Federal Inland Revenue Service is accepted. FIRS Executive Chairman Babatunde Fowler, who gave the indication at the meeting of the Joint Tax Board in Abuja, says demand of tax payment from applicants for international passport is a global practice. Fowler also says the agency has set a target to increase the database of individual taxpayers by 10 million before December this year. He confirms that the agency had already attained 30% of the target, with addition of 3 million individuals to its database. He named Kano State as leading in the new drive to increase taxpayers database with new 944,000 taxpayers, followed by Lagos with 306,000, Kaduna and Plateau State. You're still listening to the World News at 5 from Rock City 101.9 FM. Up next, we bring you foreign, business and sport news. Please stay with us. South Korea's President Park Geun-hye has said she has asked Parliament to help her find a way to stand down. Ms. Park faced growing calls to resign amid an investigation of the president's relationship with her close friend Choi Soon-sil, accused of trying to extort huge sums of money from South Korean companies. The president said she would leave to Parliament everything about her future, including shortening of her term, but did not want to leave a power vacuum. Parliament was due to discuss on Friday whether she should face impeachment. The opposition parties have said the president should stand down honorably before it reached that point. Ms. Park has apologized twice before and has said she is heartbroken by the political crisis around her, but has refused to stand down. South Africa's scandal-plagued President Jacob Zuma has survived a move by some members of his party to hold a no-confidence motion against him. Tourism Minister Derek Hanekom had proposed holding the vote of effective oust Zuma at a meeting of the African National Congress ANC's governing committee over the weekend, but the National Executive Committee (NEC) meeting ended without a formal vote. It was not immediately clear if the committee had effectively decided to keep Zuma through a less formal decision-making process or if it had just dropped the matter altogether. Zuma's presidency has been plagued by accusations of corruption, and the nation's anti-graft watchdog this month asked for a judge to investigate alleged influence peddling by a wealthy family Zuma has called his friend. In business, MTN Nigeria has met with the Security Exchange Commission (SEC) for a possible floating of initial public offering and share structure. The Commission's Director General, Maurice Guazer, who made this news, says MTN is considering three classes of shares, but yet to submit a formal application for the proposed share sale. The telecommunication giant first hinted last June it will list the share on the Nigerian Stock Exchange after reaching a deal with the Nigerian Communication Commission on the fine imposed for failing to register SIM cards of a large number of its subscribers. The company had already appointed Standard Bank of South Africa, Stanbic IBTC Capital, Standard Advisory, and Citigroup Global Limited as joint transaction advisors for the proposed share listing. Finally, sport news. Nigeria striker Junior Ajayi has said he hopes to justify the $2 million Egyptian giant Al Ahly said paid for him. On Sunday, Junior Ajayi netted his fourth goal for Al Ahly in the league. The striker says he can still do more by scoring many goals to remain in focus. A plane carrying 81 people, including a top Brazilian football team, has crashed on its approach to the city of Medellin in Colombia. Brazilian President Michel Temer announced 3 days of national mourning, and top Spanish clubs Real Madrid and Barcelona held a mini silence at the beginning of their practice sessions. Reports said 7 people were pulled alive from the plane, but 2 have since died, including the team's goalkeeper. The chartered aircraft flying from Brazil via Bolivia was carrying members of the Chapecoense team due to play in the final of the Copa Sudamericana against Medellin team Atlético Nacional. The first leg of the final of the Cup, South America's second most important club competition, was scheduled for Wednesday but has now been suspended. Founded in 1974, the team has only been playing in Brazil's Serie A since 2014, but is currently ranked 9th ahead of much more famous and established teams such as Sao Paulo, Fluminense, and Cruzeiro. Last week, it became the first Brazilian team in 3 years to make it to the final of the Copa Sudamericana after beating Argentina side San Lorenzo. That was the World News at 5, and just before we go, the major stories once again. Ogun public school students might miss admission into tertiary institutions. Amosun said Ogun State 195-kilometer light rail would be ready early 2019. Buhari dismissed report of dispute with Tinubu, warned those behind it to stop. MTN met Security Exchange Commission on proposed sale of shares. On the foreign scene, we reported that President Zuma survived moves to force him to step down, and plane carrying Brazil Football Club members crashed, killing 76. For more stories and to listen to us live, please log on to our website www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you so much for listening. I am SIMIAT ABARU. Good evening.